You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Doctor Strange, Blood Hunt Part 3 in this book. It is Doctor Strange. I believe it is number 17.
Yep.
We thought that this series was canceled at like 13. We kept going, and we both think that by the end of Blood Hunt going forward, that we're going to have Doctor Doom as the Sorcerer Supreme. After this issue and a couple other things I was thinking, I still think that Doctor Strange will be around as like a magician. Maybe he'll be like street magic, like Chris Angel or something. He'll mind freak people, but I think he'll be in maybe a side thing with Clea. I don't know. We'll have to see. But
I thought they were going off to raise a baby or something.
Yeah. Remember, it was like the whole deal of her sister.
Yeah,
but her mom
sister.
Stepdad are taking care of that bull crap.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is like, I don't need to be tied into that nonsense. But you end up where it is written by Jed McKay, art by Pasquale Ferry, colors by Heather Moore, letters by VC's Corey Petit. I'll tell you, I think that the art's very basic in this issue. There are points where it looks decent enough, but it does look like where people say that maybe some assistance going on, not like full out that I'm saying any cheating or anything like that, but it does look like it's a bit of, a little clean at points, but pretty much This issue does one thing, and it does one thing by waving a hand in the weirdest way, and it wants to tell jokes. And you are the main writer of an event that the main book is doing bull and shit. Those are the two things that it's doing. And you can't do this. We like what he was doing on the Avengers book because it was fun. But even that, it really doesn't feel like an important book. This is just here to do things for Doctor Strange. Here, we're going to end up where you have the vampire body. And even then, Blade ends up at the end of the first issue of Blood Hunt and ends up sucking some blood from Doctor Strange. Oh my God. Doctor Strange is a vampire. What do we do? He goes astral projection, ends up where that means nothing, and the body's there. To then have Victor Strange, his vampire brother, jump into the body. But what are we going to do by the end? And this ends up being the craziest way to get the body back in an issue that does nothing. It just ends up, you have Mordo in the Crypt of Shadows. He's drawing pentagrams. He's trying to get out. He's casting spells as he sees Wong run by. Mm-hmm. And then he's yelling to Bats and the snakes, Bats, tell us your stories. Do the incantations. He's like, I'm a dog. I don't know how. And he goes, just tell us the story. So he tells the story about the god of dogs. What are we doing?
First it's the god of tigers
or
whatever.
What are we doing? This is Blood Hunt, and it's a tiger, and it should be a big book. You're the main writer. You're telling things, and I think that what he's doing is, I love Bats, but I don't need this. I think that he thinks that everybody's going to be like, oh man, it's a great Bats deal. But what ends up happening is, Bats tells the story. The dog god comes down and says, you know what, Bats, you're so cool.
I like you a lot, Bats.
I'm going to inhabit your body. You'll be a vessel. We'll become a god. And let's
He's like
do
an avatar.
Stuff. Yeah, let's do some things. The things are to try to get
he does it all right
out of the vampire body, but then somehow that cures it. It almost feels like if you weren't reading anything else, you think that Victor being in the body of Doctor Strange is what's causing him to be a vampire. If you remove the vampire ghost from the body, no more vampire. That's not what happened. That's not what was going on.
Victor is a vampire. The body is a vampire. So if you take Victor the vampire out, you still have the body as a vampire. You still have the body,
because they're completely negating the idea that Blade biting him turned him into the vampire. It seems like we're pushing the idea that Victor's the one who did it because he's a vampire. In the meantime, I'm looking at Planet of the Apes with dogs at one point, but you end up where this Bats, why? It just ends up where Mordo is going to get out as well. They're all going to just smash out of the Crypt of Shadows. That gets Mordo out to then say, and really the big play here is, and it's a classic, it's a trope, I want to kill Doctor Strange, but I want to be the one who does it, I can't let them do it.
And the most classic trope ever.
And so in it, Mordo doesn't quite seem to understand that this isn't Doctor Strange, that it's Victor, and then that gets mixed up to then get Mordo to say, I'm going to get out of here. I'm taking Ghost Victor with me. Wong says no. Mordo says yes. They go into a portal. Big bang, boom, it's done. this whole thing, and then you get jokes of meta jokes with the snakes, which is okay, but I don't need that. This is an event where I'm struggling to keep any sort of interest, especially in the tie-ins. We're doing this because it's the main writer. I keep saying it, but please, you got to do something. Not tell jokes with timely comics, and then have bats become who had, I say it, Tanya says it all the time, my wife, who had this on their bingo card? I don't think
not
anybody.
In a million years.
And what happened is, pretty much with how the Blood Hunt deal was, Jed MacKay sucked all of the importance out. And what is he going to do? What's left? Wong and bats, the snakes, and Victor. But it just ends up like you snap a finger and everything's back to normal. And now all of the stakes of Doctor Strange now might be
that's
gone
the
because
thing,
we have a body.
Well, the ending of the first Blood Hunt issue was the cliffhanger. The big cliffhanger was Doctor Strange turning into a vampire. And that meant nothing throughout the whole thing because he just astral projected. And now he's completely reset to his sexy self.
Yeah, look at him. He's there, sexy self.
He doesn't even have those ears anymore, those googly eyes or anything.
He's just there. And in that, it was explained because Victor said, oh, bats God. It's funny, it's like the bat god. But you end up where he says, you can't stop me because if you do, you're going to bite and chomp and chew up Doctor Strange. You know, your owner, your friend, your deal. And the Bats guy says, no, I'm just going to chomp the ghost. But that's it. And then with that, you have actually overpowered Bats to be the be-all, end-all, the end Blood Hunt. Like,
he's the biggest thing in the Marvel Universe right now.
Please, Bats, do it. We will be less 20 tie-in issues. You can end this nonsense now, but then the dog god says, oh, we can't do this because you'll burn out. Really? That's a ghost. He's not going to burn. Oh, yeah. Even that, the idea that Bats is a ghost dog, but then the god dog can go in the ghost dog, be the ghost dog, and then you end up having. But I do like the Charlie Brown walk of Victor, where he's like, oh, woe is me. I think my plan was foiled again. And then goes through the portal for then you tell Steven that I'll get him later. And that's it. So if this does continue throughout and we don't have a change, Mordo could do some things. Victor's there, but are you interested in that? All this did then was get and Bats and the snakes just got into the Crypt of Shadows so that Victor could come out and take. It's all a bunch of nonsense.
And they're not even going to talk about it in the last Blood Hunt issue. It's just going to be like they're not even going to address this.
Yeah. It'll be like, oh, thank God we have your body back.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't even been hardly an editor's note.
It won't even say, please read this issue. It won't even say that.
And seriously, I'm not going to listen to him, even though we already did. But the other thing, again, you talked about it. The whole thing, Doctor Strange getting bitten by Blade was the end of the first issue. That was such a big moment that was the Red Band edition change where he sliced him in half and didn't mean anything.
He didn't skip a beat. He was Doctor Strange the entire time, doing all the Doctor Strange stuff, no issue.
I mean, nobody's even said anything. Like, I'm expecting that next thing we're going to see is like, oh man, I just took a dump. Like, nothing has changed at all.
Yeah, he still has to do that. He still has to take a dump.
I'm telling you, all the things, even it seemed like things were easier for him because, oh man, I got to go see Dr. Doom. I'll just fly over there. It's just nonsense. This is what happens when I read these tie-in issues and they get me so angry like this. And this whole podcast is getting me angry, but this just gets me angry because please, you got to show us that going into an event, you had a full story. You knew you were going to tie it. You set up stuff.
He's been building to this for years, apparently, it seems like.
You set this up in those lame-ass one-shots and things. We had the Bats deal, and this is what we get from it. Jokes and a snap your fingers and no stakes. It is a vampire story with no stakes. That is not allowed.
And everybody ordered the steak and they didn't deliver any.
The Wolfman.
Get the Wolfman in this place. They need that. I actually thought we were going to get a bit of like the dog. No, it was cats versus dogs at one point.
And then the worst part is like Clea doesn't even like really address that he's astral Doctor Strange. She just tossed to him like he's regular.
Yeah, like at least she could say like she ends up turning around. Oh man, he ghosted me again. Something.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
And it looks like it ties everything up next issue.
Yeah. It even
got
says
all
in this, it's like, let's get up to, Doctor Strange number 18 and Blood on number 15. I'm expecting that, or number 5, I'm expecting that the Doctor Strange book, I believe that next issue is nothing's been solicited after that. So we'll have to see.
That's it. Yeah.
My guess is we will get in the next week or so, we will get an announcement, something that a new Doctor Strange book, October, and it'll just be Doctor Doom, Sorcerer Supreme. That's what it'll be.
Basically, what you're saying, it should have been canceled back when we said it was.
When it said it was.
When it said it was, and then they should have had Doctor Strange Blood Hunt number 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, and what they ended up doing in my mind is it was going to be at the end of whatever issue it was, and maybe some people remember. It said, "Thank you so much for enjoying our series. We'll see you in a couple months." You thought that it was going to be June or July. That would have been for this,
which is where we are now.
It would have been back. But in the meantime, I think they said to him, I think that's what happened to the Blade book. I think that actually, was supposed to, keep going. But then they said, okay, keep telling that one story. We'll cancel. We'll get in the Blood Hunt. And then the repercussions of that. I think that this is all on the fly. I think that this shows you that idea of years in the making is a bunch of nonsense. But what would you give this?
I'm another 5.
Yeah, I think I'm a 5.
I didn't like the look of the Bats God, though.
No, I didn't like it either. He looked like too manly, right?
It's like, look how long his torso is.
Yeah, look at that. He's got like some abs working there, right?
He's got the long torso and the short legs.
Long fingernails, stuff like that. Clip those things, dude. And I don't want to see where he goes to take a crap. But again, he's a ghost, too. I don't know. If you're a ghost, what do you crap out clouds or something? I have no idea.